Welcome to today's video. Today is July 13th, so this is the week of July 13th. We've come a long way over the past almost 4 months. And so one of the things I want to start to do is to pivot into some more really interesting topics about how to build your short-term rental business from a lawyer's perspective and from the perspective of someone that's been innovating in the practice of law for almost 30 years. So I have always believed that innovation is the most fun thing in the whole world, right? So I'm going to help you see the changes that are coming to the short-term rental market. I'm learning from you about the changes that are coming. Obviously, I'm digging in on everything Airbnb, and so I can see some of the things that are going on in the market that I want you to be able to take advantage of. So yes, we're going to talk about COVID-19 refund claims and arbitration, but we're also going to talk about some really interesting things to help you build your short-term rental business in this era of change. Airbnb is changing. The platform is going to change. There's going to be competing platforms. There's going to be a shift in the market. There's going to be direct booking. But I've got some amazing tips for you if you are serious about your short-term rental business. And so we're going to start sharing those, as well as updating you on, of course, the arbitrations that are being filed every week against Airbnb for what we believe were unlawful COVID refunds. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the companion email that we sent you that talks a little bit about arbitration in general, consumer arbitration as provided under the Airbnb terms of service. I get a lot of questions about, well, should I arbitrate? Should I not arbitrate? I hear concerns about the fact that people are intimidated by arbitration. They've never done it before. They don't know how it works. They think it's going to take a lot of time. They think that Airbnb is holding all the cards. They worry that Airbnb is going to retaliate against them. I'm going to relieve all of these concerns. And if you've been watching me for a while on our YouTube channel, you'll know that I've addressed some of these before. So the topic of today's show is kind of all about how you need to understand the arbitration process, the consumer arbitration process in the Airbnb terms of service, because it's a core part of your short-term rental business. If you don't understand how to access the consumer arbitration provisions that Airbnb invites you to access if you should have any dispute with them, then you're missing perhaps the most important piece of your business model. So the good news is, out of these COVID-19 refunds, hosts are starting to understand not only the importance of consumer arbitration, but that yes, attorneys like me will take those on a contingency fee basis, that there are self-help platforms out there that are available to help hosts navigate the system, and that once you understand how to navigate the system, I will guarantee you this: instead of spending all those hours going in circles with customer support, waiting to get bumped up to a manager, waiting the weeks and weeks to get an answer, being sent back to the starting line, hey, go right to arbitration under the arbitration rules. Now, if you are one of our clients and we've accepted your case as a qualified client for COVID-19 refunds, you're going to see the whole process play out over the next many months. You'll know how to do it next time. If you are a host with a smaller claim and are going to be accessing the self-help platform, the 10,000host.com platform, in order to do your arbitration, those videos are going to walk you through the entire process. And in that process, you'll be able to see how it works. You'll be able to access your rights under the terms and protect your payouts, protect yourself on these, these Airbnb host guarantee claims that seem to never pay. Also, at the end of this video, stay tuned, because I'm going to show you something that is going to absolutely blow you away. And it may amuse you or it may further aggravate you. I don't know which. But just stay tuned. Trust me, you are going to be absolutely blown away by what I show you. Okay, disclaimer. Yes, that is a pile of laundry back there, and I will be getting that later. I'm just like you, working from home. You see a multiple of different backdrops. I work from a couple different home locations. This is one of my rental properties, for Airbnb, and it's going into the rental pool at the end of summer. So I've got my chores behind me just like you do. Okay, so let's start. So let's talk about this arbitrate or stagnate concept. Let me go ahead and zoom in and really start to take a look at why it is we think that this whole fear of arbitration is unwarranted, and why I'm starting to realize that hosts don't ever arbitrate their claims. Here you've got this amazing system of arbitration, consumer arbitration, that's baked into the terms of service. And not only that, the way they're drafted give you every possible advantage, which they have to do in order to meet especially tests in Europe, so that they're fair. In order to be fair, Airbnb has to draft those terms of service severely in the consumer's favor in order for them to be enforceable. So in order to try and make those things enforceable, those terms of service enforceable, the requirement that you arbitrate certain claims, especially ones that fall outside the small claims court minimums, they require you to do that. And if they're going to require you to do that, they have to give you all kinds of advantages in arbitration. So instead of being afraid of arbitration, our position is, if you are serious about short-term rentals and you are serious about taking advantage of the opportunities that are coming, the changes that are going to present opportunities for short-term rental property managers, property owners, and hosts, if you plan to expand, if you plan to grow, take advantage of all these opportunities that are coming your way, you need to know how to arbitrate, because this is the number one way by which you can be the squeaky wheel to make sure you get what's coming to you, to back Airbnb off, to get resolution and protect your payouts, protect your host guarantee claims, have certain terms declared invalid if they're unreasonable, and to have an arbitrator decide each and every issue in any dispute you can have with Airbnb. All right, so let's just take a look. Why arbitration is a host's best friend? Why is arbitration a host's best friend? And there's a couple reasons, and we talk about them in the email I sent today. So if you go back and read that email, you'll see that some of these same themes are in there. This could be a little bit expanded in this video. But look at short-term rental has become a business for hosts. It used to be that short-term rental, was perhaps a side gig or a little extra income for serious hosts. For serious hosts, it is a business. It is, in many cases, it's your business. It's your primary source of income. It's the number one risk that you take every day when you get up, with your mortgages, your investments, your payroll, all the people you have to pay in order to make it work. So if it's a business, you need to treat it like a business. Would you ever enter into business with anyone or use any system, platform, person, company where you entered into a contract that you couldn't enforce? You allowed the partner to simply do whatever they want? Where you have no, what does it say? Feminy? Well, that would be terrible, but let's just call that remedy. If you know me, my typing is not great. My dad did not see the technology age coming and did not think that typing was going to be important. Turns out it's my one fatal flaw as a technology attorney. I don't type that well, so don't hold it against me. All right, so imagine not even having a remedy if there's a problem on the platform from which you run your entire business. Because if you don't arbitrate, you're not only imagining a contract you can't enforce, a partner who can do whatever they want, and that you will never have any remedy to do anything about it, you're living it. You're living it. And what I'm saying is, after 4 months into this business of arbitrating against Airbnb, all of a sudden it occurred to me, why are hosts not arbitrating against Airbnb? It's a straightforward, simple process with tons of advantages to you. That's a core part of your business. You need to know how to do it. And hey, there's a gift that's been given. It's called COVID-19 refunds. Not only are you given the chance to recoup your damages on those refunds, but you're given the opportunity to learn one of the most important things you need to understand in order to run your short-term rental business. And guess what? Virtually every platform, Virtually every website that's of any significance out there has this consumer arbitration clause in it. So maybe you'll need to use it with some other software provider as well, some other platform provider. So it is a skill that really every user of the internet for business needs to understand. So let's talk a little bit about your advantages in arbitration. And if you read the terms of service, one of the things that struck me really early on was wow, these things are drafted really, really friendly to hosts. This is a gift that Airbnb has given hosts that hosts have not yet taken advantage of. That day is over. Hosts are going to learn. I'm going to teach hosts how to take advantage of the arbitration system. All right, so the first is fees. And this one is one that you've heard me talk about, because in order for the arbitration provisions to be enforceable, they had to cap the fees that the host would be responsible for. Because if it got too expensive, then it's really not an effective remedy for consumers. And if it's not an effective remedy for consumers, it's not a fair remedy for consumers, if there's too many barriers to accessing your rights under the agreement, then courts will come in and simply strike it down and say this arbitration provision is unenforceable, meaning you can file class actions, meaning you can litigate in court, and Airbnb doesn't want that. So they cap your fees at the $200 filing fee mark. All other fees, everything else, including the arbitrators, 100% of the arbitrators' fees are paid by Airbnb. And if you add all of those up, you'll see that just, to get in the game, they've got $6,000 to $7,500 worth of fees they have to pay to the American Arbitration Association, which is handling these consumer arbitrations. Now, why is it the American Arbitration Association that's handling these arbitrations? Because that's what the terms of service say. They say that you will access the American Arbitration Association if you want to arbitrate your claims, if you want to avoid small claims court and go to arbitration. And if you're located virtually anywhere in the world, you can go into the American arbitration system and file for arbitration. So they have these extraordinary fees, and this is where that 10,000 host concept comes from, because this doesn't even include their high-priced law firm they have to pay. And guess what? And I'll just go correct some of these typos so you don't send me comments that I misspelled of, right? The Airbnb terms of service also require Airbnb to pay for any room rental if you should choose at your election, your sole election, to have an in-person hearing in your place of residence. They have to pay the travel of the arbitrator, housing of the arbitrator, the room rental rate for the hearing. You could see $10,000 is a very low conservative estimate. It could be $20,000 or $30,000. It could be $100,000 by the time they get done paying their attorneys to make the ridiculous arguments that they make in order to arbitrate a single case. So 10,000 hosts times $10,000 is $100 million just in transactional costs to Airbnb. Airbnb has given you a gift. You think you have no power. You actually have all the power. You have all of the power as long as you act on your rights and you act collectively in individual arbitration. You can actually bring Airbnb to its senses. I always say bring it to its knees, but it's really bring it to its senses. Airbnb started out as a hosting platform designed by hosts, people who wanted to rent out their properties, right? And you've heard Brian say it all the time. Oh, our roots are with the hosts. Well, I don't know if their roots are with the hosts, but someone burned that tree down, dug up the roots, and pitched them into the dump. Because now Airbnb is all about travelers. They think their entire business is built around travelers, and as long as they can get more and more and more and more and more and more travelers, goodwill with travelers, then the hosts have no choice but to use them. So they can do whatever they want to the hosts because it's all about travelers. So that's the kind of illogical thinking that really bothers me. I represent platforms. I do this work all the time. I advise platforms such as Airbnb on these types of issues. It's not a one or the other proposition. They're not picking between travelers and hosts. You can do both. There's a happy balance, right? There's a happy balance. Well, here's an idea. Tell the actual guest that they're signing up for a strict cancellation policy rather than burying it at the bottom of the page, right? So that then they can go ahead and when the guest starts to complain, just go ahead and override the host strict cancellation policy. I feel like a karate expert. Override the host policy, but the strict cancellation policy by saying, oh, well, now we're just going to use the ECP, the extenuating circumstances policy, to just override your cancellation policy and give the money back to the travelers, because, oh, we love the travelers. Travelers are everything. If we give them their money back, they'll come back again and again. Bean counters have done the calculation of a loyal traveler, and that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, of a single traveler, whatever it happens to be, billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over time, and so we don't care about hosts. All right, well, I suppose that could be your business model, but it isn't your business model right now, Airbnb, because you give hosts the right to have a strict cancellation policy. If you want to launch a platform where there is no strict cancellation policy, where you're not defrauding hosts by giving them the illusion that they have control over payouts and the cancellation policy, and then just simply taking it away whenever you want, well, go ahead and build that platform, see how many hosts sign up, right? But you can't defraud both sides. You can't take the hosts and give them the illusion of a cancellation policy and then fail to really put that cancellation policy right in front of the traveler so that they know what they're signing up for, right? Airbnb's model is just to get everyone to pay them and then do whatever they want. So first advantage is fees. These fees are important. They are an important advantage, and they give you the ability to force Airbnb to comply with their own terms and to respect your cancellation policy. All right, advantage number 2, ease of use. I'm going to fly through this one. Look, even if Airbnb decides to contest your claim, right, and proceed through the arbitration process rather than settle, there's no dispute resolution system that is as friendly to consumers, to the plaintiff, to the claimant in the world as consumer arbitration under the AAA rules, right? So instead of having to spend $100,000 in attorney's fees to have your attorney go to court and litigate against their high-powered, high-priced attorneys, you get consumer arbitration under AAA. You get your hand held through the entire process. You get all the advantages of the system. You're getting this huge ease of use, which even if you're retaining us, you're going to learn how to navigate the system and get that education. So next time, maybe you come back to us, but maybe you just do it yourself, right? So consumer arbitration can be a lot less expensive and time consuming, and this means that I'm able to accept some of your cases on a contingency fee basis, where my law firm only gets paid if we win. And your expense is the $200 filing fee. Because this isn't going to be, hopefully, $100,000 in my time to do your case, right? Hopefully it's going to be $30,000 or $40,000 in time in my case. I could take that risk with you, and we can be a team and work together. Advantage 3, consumer bias. The whole system is designed to try and level the playing field, and so the consumer arbitration before the American Arbitration Association, there's going to be an assigned neutral arbitrator that knows Airbnb drafted all the terms, that they were click wrap and browser wrap agreements where you had no say, and the arbitrators take all that into account, and they often help the consumers get the proof and make the arguments that they need in order to present their case. So consumer arbitration is more about fairness than procedure, than all these legal hurdles you're going to find in court, right? If you've been wronged by Airbnb and you can make that case, you can tell that story, you've got an advantage to win the case. And of course, that's what we think is going on here. So don't be afraid of arbitration. Don't shy away from arbitration. It's like a brain surgeon who doesn't want to use a knife because they're scared of the knife. If you're going to be a brain surgeon, you better learn how to use the knife. And if you're going to be in the short-term rental game and you're going to be serious about it, you better figure out the arbitration component, because otherwise you are in a contract that's not enforceable. You are in a system whereby the other party, Airbnb, can do whatever they want to you whenever they want. There's no predictability to it, and where you've got no remedy. Why would you do that? Because it's not Airbnb doing that to you. It's you doing it to yourself if you don't take advantage of arbitration. All right. I want to shift gears here and give you a little bit of bonus stuff, right? And so this is kind of fun, right? Because this is what we do for our core business as well, is we help businesses grow. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to leverage Airbnb's $1 billion strategy budget, right? So we know Airbnb's got the highest priced, public relations and marketing and market research firms working on the short-term rental business. And what do we know about the last year? Well, one of the things we know is that Airbnb figured out that experience, something you already knew, by the way, experiences are the core of what your guests, what their travelers want. And so it's not just a room, it's not just a home, it's not just how many bedrooms, it's the experience. And of course, us hosts, we've known that forever, right? We know we try and create these 5-star experiences for these guests coming into our home. We don't need Airbnb babysitting us. We're working for stars, right? And we got more than enough incentive to do it right and to treat our guests right, and when there's a pandemic, to work with guests without the interference of Airbnb, to try and work something out, to get them to cancel early so our calendar clears so we can cover, rather than what Airbnb did to us, which tell guests just wait to the last second to cancel and clog your calendar so there's no way for you to cover, right? So get out of our way, Airbnb. Get out of our way. We know what we're doing. We're actually in the hosting business. We're actually in the property managing business. You are not. You know nothing about it. You don't do it. You're not rated by stars. You're not rated by anyone. Good thing. Customer service not that good. But we know what we're doing. So leverage their $1 billion strategy budget. If this is becoming even more about experiences, and experiences are at the core of your business, think about how to not only create that experience, but brand it. Make it memorable and brand it. So today I want to talk just about some things that are near and dear to my heart, which is baby steps to direct booking, building your short-term rental brand, your email list, and creating experiences, right? Why should you build a brand? Why should your property, your account name be a brand? And the reason is because if COVID has shown us anything, it's that you can't rely on Airbnb. Right? It only cares about Airbnb. So if direct bookings are going to be even a bigger part of the future, right? If there are going to be more competitors in the market that are coming in every day because of the turmoil that Airbnb has caused for hosts, yeah, travelers might be happy. Probably not if they got scammed into taking a credit, right? But let's just say they're happier than hosts, right? The trend is in the direction of hosts becoming a brand rather than Airbnb being the brand. So your properties should all have names. Your company, if it's company, should have a name, and these things should be registered trademarks belonging to you, protected by you, and marketed by you, meaning that you're putting your brands on everything, right? So if you're a 5-star host, then that reputation is your value. Keep in mind that for instance, Apple's 50% of its entire market cap is its trademarks. 50% of its entire valuation are just its trademarks, its reputation. We are in the reputation business, the 5-star reputation business. We need to think as hosts more about our branding, our trademark protection, and getting away from, I'm using Airbnb, and hey, I'm going to the house known as Planet Beach, right? That is run by Enrico Schaefer, who's was our host last year, right? So reputation is brand, brand is reputation. This is the reputation business. You need to start thinking about reputation. What can you trademark? You can trademark your company name, your property name, your account name. You don't have to register your trademark, and in a future video I'll talk a little bit more about this and provide some more resources for you. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. But you can trademark, or your company name can be a trademark. Your property name, if you've got a name for your properties, can be a trademark. That's always great because that's how people think of it. We went to Planet Beach, the house known as Planet Beach. That becomes a valuable brand. People remember, they tell their friends, we stayed at Planet Beach. It was awesome. It was amazing. Your account name is also a potential brand, and it may not be your company name, and if you've got more than one property, you're going to have your property names and your account name. those things can become familiar to hosts, not only in the Airbnb platform, but as you gravitate towards direct booking, as you gravitate towards other platforms like VRBO. Okay, so you could just simply create your company name and your property name and your account name, and then market yourself as those things more aggressively and start to establish common law rights in your trademark, or you can seek to register those trademarks with the USPTO. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to put in here, you don't have to hire me. We manage 1,000 trademarks globally for huge companies and some of the finest resorts, 5-star resorts in the world. But I'm going to give you a video that you can do it yourself. If you don't want to do it yourself, feel free to give us a call. But I'm going to help you do it yourself, because if you want to get through the trademark process, you don't need Trademarkia or LegalZoom. They're just giving you the same form the USPTO gives you, and you're paying them for the form that's free, right? So I've got a video for you that I'm going to embed that will guide you through if you want to start to trademark. All right. I want to talk a little bit lastly about the value of your prior renters, and then we're going to get to the surprise thing I told you about. The value of your prior renters, right? Every time someone books with you on Airbnb, once they get through the system, once they get to the check-in point, you get their cell phone number, and that gives you access to their cell phone number and their emails. You want to be creating an email list to everyone that stays at your house or has stayed at your house, for which you can still find the cell phone number, for which you can follow up with them and get their email address. Why? Because why wouldn't you want to direct book that person next year? Repeat business. That's what Airbnb is doing with experiences. That's why Airbnb is giving your money back to the travelers, because they want the repeat business. Why give it to them? That would be bad business. Take that for yourself. Start to build up your email list of everyone that has ever stayed at your property, and then you can send a quarterly email around. They can forward that email to their friends and family, and you can cut out Airbnb. Now, you'll need a payment processing platform and some of these other things, but these kinds of options are really becoming readily available, and we'll have some tips from other hosts, not me, because other hosts know more about that than I do, on what platforms you can use for that. In the meantime, just go get those emails. Those emails are worth money. Each one could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars to you. Why would you give it away? Why would you bury it in the yard? Get that email address and start to build your list, right? There is nothing in the Airbnb terms which limit you from direct booking your guests for their next post. Well, I'm not even sure what that was supposed to be, but let's just say their next vacation, okay? So for their next vacation, you can book them directly. Nothing in the terms of service which preclude that from happening, as long as they don't start into the system to start the process. But if you direct book them outside the system, you can send them to VRBO, or you can just direct book them yourself, right? There's nothing in the terms that preclude you from accepting referrals from those guests and or from direct marketing. And I'll show you some of those terms of service in an upcoming episode, because the other thing, in addition to arbitration, that has really got me juiced up is hosts don't understand the terms of service. And one of the great things that's been happening is hosts are really appreciative of the fact that I'm going through the terms of service with them and showing them what it says and what it means and how that works. We're not going to stop at refunds. We're going to keep going through the terms of service, because it's the scalpel and you're a brain surgeon. Use your brain, right? Understand your business model, or put your manager on it. Get subscribed to our videos so you can really start to get some of this value moving forward. Okay, here's the surprise, right? I told you this was going to either infuriate you or amuse you. At this point, it has kind of become a little bit comical, right? But here's something I learned recently about the Airbnb Lux or luxury rental policy, right? So this is the high-end properties that Airbnb actually takes more of a property management role, gets a much higher amount of money for these high-end properties, right? So do you remember when Airbnb said it was just a do-gooder doing the best for society, and the only reason that it gave the refunds was to protect the public, and that it had nothing to do with business, that there is no business aspect to their decision? Take a look at this guest refund policy for Lux. Terms and conditions govern guest refunds on Airbnb Lux refund policy solely through bookings on the Airbnb platform that are managed by Luxury Retreats. And that's how you probably know it. They keep changing their brand, but Luxury Retreats properties, right? And so these terms supersede the general terms for Lux bookings. Well, this is really interesting. What happens if there's a travel issue and there's a Lux booking? A travel issue is defined here as a host canceling a booking. Well, that makes sense. Guests shouldn't have to pay if a host cancels on them, right? Travel issue is a listing, description, or depiction of the accommodation that is materially inaccurate. Well, that makes sense. If the host defrauds the guests and it turns out that it's a rundown shack and it was listed as a 20-bedroom retreat overlooking the ocean, then they shouldn't have to pay, right? That's the good function of the escrow role of Airbnb in its fiduciary capacity, holding the money to make sure that the booking stays in place, that the listing is as represented, and let's see what the last one is. Oh, clean, sanitary, safe, healthy, clean bedding, bathroom towels, no vermin. That's legit, right? I have no problem if I got vermin with Airbnb as the escrow deciding I don't get that money. I didn't meet the contingencies. I didn't meet the conditions that I agreed to. Well, okay, that's dramatically different than your policy and the discretion Airbnb has there. If you are a guest and suffer a travel issue, we agree at our discretion to either reimburse you, use our reasonable efforts to book you another accommodation, or let me guarantee you there's a travel credit in there somewhere, right? So, okay, so that's really interesting. So this is incredibly limited. Didn't really say anything about pandemics, did they? Oh, here it is. Airbnb Lux Guest Booking Agreement. Last update, May 12th, 2020. Wish I could find the prior version, but apparently they deleted that and it's not on archive.com, right? So, blah, 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 booking, blah, 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 payment and security deposit, use of property, okay. Oh, here we go, booking, cancellation, refunds, and modification. Wait, this says that your cancellation policy controls. Oh, you are urged to obtain travel insurance for protection against, among other things, your inability to make the trip contemplated in this agreement. Oh, force majeure. We don't have that in our other agreements for Airbnb terms. Neither Luxury Retreats nor the host shall be liable for epidemics, pandemics, or any other cause beyond the reasonable control of such party. No refunds for pandemics if you happen to be a luxury property. Think about that for a minute, right? Airbnb, the do-gooder company that only did this for the public health and because it was the right thing to do, doesn't provide refunds, according to this policy, to guests for pandemics. But yet they've given all your money back whenever a guest decides that they want to cancel. So again, I don't know if that infuriates you or amuses you. I had a little bit of both. I was initially appalled, and then I was ultimately, I admit, amused. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. We're a little late on our Monday. This is going to be a Wednesday video. I was on vacation last week, and I'm one of those lucky people that actually lives in paradise. So everyone says, where'd you go on vacation? And nowhere. I stay home. I stay here. This is the place to be in the summer, northern Michigan. So thanks for your patience last week for my wife and I and our 5 boys on vacation. We took a little bit of break from Airbnb, but now we're back. All right, we'll keep you up to date. We'll see you next time. I want you to look forward to more practical legal advice that every Airbnb host needs to know beyond COVID-19 refunds. All right, see you next time.